Your unconscious mind is literally a million times more powerful than your conscious mind. And the reason I say that with confidence is because your conscious mind can process about 40 inputs per second, whereas your unconscious mind processes 40 million inputs per second. So it is a million times more powerful. So if your unconscious mind is convinced of something, then your conscious mind may have all kinds of ideas about whatever it is that you want to do. But if your unconscious mind is against you, it doesn't matter one iota. And that's why I'm so obsessed about all the unconscious stuff. I'm speaking in front of 1,000 SaaS founders at SaaS Open, which is a conference that's happening here in New York City. I'm speaking on feelings for entrepreneurs because all the other speakers are going to talk about tactics and strategies and like SEO or funding or fundraising or hiring or all these great strategies and tactics. But if your unconscious mind is not on board, if you have unconscious blocks, you can have all those tactics and strategies in the world. They're going to do jack shit for you because you're not ready. And that's been true for me in my life, and it's true for every other founder out there. All right. What's up, people? It's Thursday again, which means it's time for the Unfiltered, the live from New York City or wherever the fuck I happen to be that day. Today, it's New York City. We are Unfiltered Live. Today, we're going to do hot seats. So I'm going to hot seat you. If you are here to be hot seated, just raise your hand and we'll get you in the hot seat and we can hot seat whatever topic, challenge, issue that you're facing. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about something that's going on for me that I think might be inspirational for you. So how we start this thing. Every Thursday, 1 p.m., we talk about the inner game of entrepreneurship. We talk about business and marketing and strategy and all those good things. We don't talk about how do I set this thing up or that thing up. We do that. There's a separate call from that. Sarah can shoot the link over there, but we talk about all the things that actually move the needle. So here's the thing. Your unconscious mind is a million times more powerful than your conscious mind. Literally a million times. And the reason I say that with confidence is because your conscious mind can process about 40 inputs per second, whereas your unconscious mind processes 40 million inputs per second. So it is a million times more powerful. So if your unconscious mind is convinced of something, then your conscious mind may have all kinds of ideas about whatever it is that you want to do. But if your unconscious mind is against you, it doesn't matter one iota. And that's why I'm so obsessed about all the unconscious stuff. So I'm speaking tomorrow in front of 1,000 SaaS founders at SaaS Open, which is a conference that's happening right this moment here in New York City. I skipped most of the first day so that I could be with you guys here, and then I'm going to head over there immediately after. So I'm heading over there. I'm speaking tomorrow morning on feelings for entrepreneurs because all the other speakers are going to talk about tactics and strategies and like SEO or funding or fundraising or hiring or all these great strategies and tactics. But if your unconscious mind is not on board, if you have unconscious blocks, you can have all those tactics and strategies in the world. They're going to do jack shit for you because you're not ready. And that's been true for me in my life. So much is true with everything that's happening right now. And it's true for every other founder out there. I've seen it over and over again. I was just going over my notes here before the meeting. So I have this secret weapon that really, really helps me, which is a sauna. There is, in this building that I live in, there is on the 9th floor, there's a sauna, and I go there every night if I'm not out meeting people at dinner or whatnot. I'm going to dinner tonight with like a dozen very, very successful SaaS founders to learn from them, including my mentor, Dan Martell. So I'm not going to be in the sauna tonight, but every other night that I'm not out, I will be in the sauna at night typically between 8 and 9 p.m. and I'll sit there and take notes and write stuff out and figure things out. I was working on some new feature stuff last night, and team stuff and marketing stuff, all kinds of things that I go through there. And I was looking over my notes here, and one of the things it says it here is sitting on $100 million opportunity. And so that's what I want to talk about a little bit here is, if you've been following this show for a while, you already know right before New Year's, my CPA, my accountant, my accounting firm came and said, "Hey, Calvin, we need to run this $100,000 tax bill. We need to pay that before the end of the year." And they came literally on the second to last day of the year, on the 30th of December. And I was like, "You can't do that with that short notice." I manage my cash flow really carefully, and I just don't spring $100,000 bill on me. But they did, and it ended up being the best thing that could ever have happened for me. And this is how it always is, isn't it? Like, that thing that we think is like the worst thing ever ends up being the greatest freaking thing ever. That's exactly what happened here. So I ran that tax bill, and then when January came around, I had my sort of finance team, not my CPA, but the ones that handle day-to-day cash flow and bookkeeping and payroll and those things. I had them do an extended cash flow forecast, and it said that by this time, by late March, we were going to be negative $125,000. And I was like, fuck, that's more than just me not paying myself for a couple months. Like, that's serious territory. Like, not meeting payroll is not an option. I've never not paid a bill. That's not true. There was once in 2004-ish where there was a bill that I didn't pay on time. I think that's the last time that's ever happened. And at least not like intentionally. There might have been like $100 bill somewhere that I forgot. But what made it worse was a couple of days later, they came back and said, "No, it's not $125,000 you're going to be missing. It's now $165,000. So I'm like, this thing is growing by like $40,000 every couple of days. I'm like, shit, this is bad. How bad is this going to be? And I was really, really terrified and panicked. And then I started digging into really feeling my feelings around it, and then digging under what those feelings were so that I could really get the most benefit from it. And that's when I came into contact with rage and grief, but also, very importantly, with victim. And so I recognized I could feel my victim persona right there. So victim is a part of us that evolves as a defense mechanism to protect us from feeling certain things. And when we're in victim, we're arguing for our problems. For me, I was arguing for how hard it was to acquire customers. Oh, it's hard. It's like, oh, all the competition, they have all the money, and like this is difficult for this reason. This is difficult for that reason. And when we're in victim, we're so busy arguing for why we can't do something that we don't do anything about it. I bet that you've been in a situation where some friend of yours was asking for advice, and you're like, "Well, why don't you just do this?" And then they're like, no, I can't do that because all reasons. And then you're like, "Well, then how about this?" And they're like, "No, I can't do these reasons." You're like, "Dude, you're just like closed-minded, stubborn. Like, do you want this solved or not?" That's someone who's a victim. And I bet that you've never been in that situation yourself where you've been the person in victim, but I have. And this was the big realization. And so I shared my feelings, my experience with some other founders. And in sharing it, it took the shame out of it. So it's like there's so many benefits to once you feel what's going on, you're really open to it and feel it, and then you share it with others to remove the shame around it. And then all kinds of possibilities open up. And that's what happened for me. And one of those possibilities was non-dilutive funding. So what that means is, we're in a market, software market. We're up against some mighty competitors that have way more money than we have, a lot more customers. Some of them have raised lots of money. Like Kajabi has raised $550 million. Samcart has raised $83 million. What was the latest one that I just saw? Thrivecart has raised, I forget what it was, like 30 something million dollars. Like, we're up against some companies that have some serious bank behind them. We don't, we're bootstrapped. We could raise and give up equity, and that's definitely an option. I'm not, super excited about that option, because usually it doesn't work out that great for customers and team members and other folks, but it's definitely something that's possible if I can do it in a way that would really ensure that especially that my team members and my customers are taken good care of. But there's this other option, which is debt funding. So I found this company called FounderPath, and they offer debt funding. So they offer a loan with security in our future revenue streams. And so literally today, $400,000 showed up on my bank account. That is a loan that I've taken on from these people. By the way, that negative $165,000 never materialized, right? We never hit negative. We're at this point well in the positive, like, I don't know the exact number, but like around the same in positive, beyond $165,000 plus instead of $165,000 negative. So part of that is that we just run the cash flow kind of conservatively. Part of that is we cut some costs. Part of it is we got some more revenue. So different factors. What I know is that we're fine there, but I discovered this opportunity to take on funding in this way. And the big learning for me from this is around scarcity versus abundance mindset. I can see now how much I was in scarcity mindset around money, because I was financing everything from the revenue that was coming in. And some months I would be spending more than we earned. Some months I'd be spending a little less than we earned. It's not the same. It's not exactly flat. It like varies by give or take 100,000 sometimes month to month. As we do, different sales, Simpler Academy, for example, but also just as like annual renewal comes up for different people in different periods and things like that. So I was like, when it came to hiring, especially marketers and engineers, which are really expensive, like a really good engineer will cost you easily $200,000 a year if you can find them, right? A good marketer is going to easily cost you, $150, $200, $250, $300, $400, $500,000, depending, for a really good marketer, right? So these are not cheap people. And so me trying to fund this out of cash flow and making sure we would never fucking go negative, right? Because that's really bad, kept me in this scarcity mindset around it. And once I knew that I had this funding option available to me, I was like, okay, what would it take to get the really good people? So I asked around to find the best recruiter that I could find, because the best people are not looking for a job, right? So when you put out a job ad, the people who apply are not the best people. Sometimes someone who's really, really good, they're just kind of like, they'll jump on a job board just because they're like, let me see what's out there. And if you do well and do great copy and a great headline and things like that, you will attract someone like that. And they're like, yeah, let me raise my hand. And it's like, I might be interested in this. But generally, the way you get the really good people is you have to find them in the job that they're currently at, where they're actually happy, and you have to entice them with something even better. That's what good recruiters are really good at. So I reached out to someone that I'd made a note of earlier, that if I were to ever hire a recruiter again, these would be the ones that I want to work with. I had met the creative director at ClickUp. If you guys have heard of that company, ClickUp, a multi-billion-dollar software company. And she talked about how she was headhunted, she was recruited for that position, and that the recruiter that she had worked with, his name is Chris, was like the best recruiter she'd ever experienced. Like it was the best recruiting experience for her as the candidate that she'd ever experienced. And so I was like, that's the guy that I want to work with, right? Because you want to work with a recruiter who's just who makes it a great experience for the candidate. Because it's really the recruiting is all about the candidate. So I did that. So I hired Chris and his company, Quantum, and in just like, I think, was it same day or the day after that we had our kickoff meeting that they had the first candidates for me. I'm like blown away because we've been doing our own recruiting efforts for engineers starting in July last year, and we've basically gotten jack shit. Like we've not gotten good candidates from that. And part of that was my scarcity mindset. So I just wasn't offering enough. I was trying to get kind of, a diamond in the rough. I was trying to get someone who's like junior, fresh out of school, who didn't quite know their own worth yet and wasn't, didn't have that much experience, but could really grow into something remarkable because one of my best people is that. But diamonds in the rough are not the easiest to find. And, it's also really helpful to have someone who actually has experience. And so within a couple of days, we had some great candidates. And now we've hired, we've inked a deal with 3 engineers and 1 really great product designer that are all starting in the next couple of weeks. So it's very, very exciting. And what I realized through this process was that my scarcity mindset had kept me looking for people in all the wrong places. For me to realize the vision that I have for this company and this product, I need really, really good people. And those people cost money, and finding those people cost money. But when you have those people, they are the ones that realize the freaking vision, right? It's not me. I have the vision. I put together the team. I set the direction. They're the ones that are going to do the work, right? So it really pays off to spend that money to find those good people. So when it was major unlock for me as I was going through that interview process with these people. I'm like, holy crap, this is just a whole different caliber from all the interviews that I've been having for these roles over the past 6-8 months. And I'm like, this is the freaking unlock. So the lesson here is about scarcity versus abundance mindset. And the question for you is like, where are you still stuck in scarcity mindset? And my experience is that no matter how many times we've heard the talk about scarcity and abundance mindset, and all, is like, oh no, I'm about an abundance mindset. But then you realize, oh my God, there's this area where I'm not. There's this area over here where I'm not, where I'm in scarcity. Like maybe it's around time, maybe it's around love, maybe it's around food, maybe it's around money, maybe it's around customers, maybe it's around, the right kind of customers, maybe it's around, like, you can be in scarcity or abundance mindset around so many things. Maybe you're in abundance mindset about most things, but these things over here, you're not. And I definitely was in that scarcity mindset. And there was this key moment because it was scary for me to sign the contract with these hires because it's pricey, right? You hire someone for $200,000 a year, and then you also need to pay a recruiter 25%, and so that's $50K right there. Plus now you're on the hook for $200K a year plus taxes and like all the other benefits and all the other things, right? Like it's pricey, this stuff. You got to sell a lot of shit for that. But then so there is like, I have these candidates, I know I want them, but it's expensive. And then I have these people who will give me money, lend me money. And it's like, but it's scary. It's like, just take it. Like, is the God and the rowboat story, like this guy who's, in the whole town is flooded, and he's like sitting on top of his house, and he's just like praying to God for help to get him out of there so he doesn't drown because the water keeps rising. And then this guy comes by in a rowboat, and he's like, dude, come on, I'll take you away from this place. I'll take you to safety. He's like, no, I got this covered. I'm praying to God. God will save me. And he's like, all right, fine. And then another guy comes by in a motorboat, and he's like, dude, hop in. We'll get you to safety. And the guy's like, nope, I'm praying. I'm waiting for God. God is going to save me. And he's like, fine, old man. And then Water keeps rising, and he's sitting up all the way up top. And this helicopter comes by and with a ladder and rope ladder and lowers it down. It's like, come on, jump on, we'll get you to safety. And the guy's like, no, 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 I got this covered. Like God will take care of it. He'll save me. And then, you know, the water keeps rising and he drowns. And he comes up and he asks St. Peter, and he's like, why didn't you save me? And St. Peter's like, we sent a rowboat and a motorboat, and then we sent a helicopter, and you said no. What the fuck more do you want? And it was kind of that, it was that feeling for me of like, here's the money, here's the people. Like, what the fuck are you worried about? Like, let's go. We'll figure it out. Yes, taking on a loan is scary, but I need the people to build the product into what it needs to be, so that, and then I need the marketers who can tell the world about it, and then we're going to be freaking fine. Like, we're going to be more than fine. And what's beautiful about it too is that I only took 20% of the current limit, less than that, actually 15% of what they will lend me right now. But then as revenue grows, that expands. And so I can keep extending that forever. I can just continuously, like, as we grow to 10 million ARR, to 20 million ARR, to 50 million ARR, I can keep doing this and just continue to front load some of that revenue, so I can invest it now instead of waiting till later. So I can invest it now to build to the next stage, right? And you just keep this thing rolling. It's like, it's the classic thing that they teach about in entrepreneurship is using other people's money. And I've never done that. I've been super stingy about that, super scarcity mindset about that, super like closed-minded about that. And now I'm opening myself up to leveraging other people's money. And think about it. There is so much money out there. Yes, interest rates have gone up like crazy. So now you can get a safe, like, what is it, like 5%-ish return from US Treasury bills. But there are tons of people who have cash, who are looking for things to put them into that will give them a good, solid, safe return over and above that. And the stock market isn't it right now, right? Valuations are generally down. So there's so much money in the world that is just waiting for something to invest in. And maybe you're it. Maybe you can create something for them that will be a good vehicle for them. So that is, that's what's top of mind for me today. So literally the company that I'm taking on this loan from is also the company that's putting on this conference that's happening right now. So I will be talking about this journey on stage. It's very beautiful how it all came together, because it came together because I know the founder of that company. His name is Nathan. I've known him for about 7 years. So when I was going through this kind of crisis in mid-January, I reached out to him because I had this vague memory that, wasn't there something about him doing debt financing for SaaS companies? And for those who don't know, SaaS is an acronym for software as a service, which is the kind of company that Simplero is. And at the time that I first heard about it, I wasn't interested, because I was like, I don't owe anybody anything. I had a lot of pride in not having any debt and just being completely self-funded, funded and self-reliant and all that stuff. So I wasn't interested, but I was like, wasn't there something about that? So I reached out to him, and he's like, yeah. Just go to the site and plug in your numbers, and we'll come back to you with an offer. And they offered me over $2 million, right? Based on my numbers. And everybody else was like maybe 100,000 or maybe 200,000. So there's order of magnitude more. It was really remarkable. And that was what opened up this whole new option for me. If it was $200,000 that they would lend me, that's still great, but that's not a game changer the way that 2 million is for where we're at in our growth. And when I spoke with him there, I was like, hey, I'll see you at the conference, because I'd already bought my ticket. And he's like, oh, you're coming? Great. We should have you speak. And so here we are. And I will be speaking tomorrow on feelings for entrepreneurs. I'm really pumped about that, because nobody of all the speakers that are there are going to talk about, feelings and that whole inner game of stuff. From what I saw from the whole list, it's a pretty unique topic, and I love talking about it. And I think it's the most impactful of all the conversations. In fact, I gave us a similar talk at an event in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, and I was just texting with one of the people there over the weekend. And he was like, dude, it's like what a coincidence, because I was just telling my wife about your talk and how it had impacted him. So I mean, that's what you want as a speaker, right? That people take it with them, and it moved them so that like 2 weeks later or whatever it was, 10 days later, they're still thinking about it and talking to their spouse about it. I think that's amazing.
I think this is dope, man. I love it. I'm so happy for you and for the company. I want to ask you a question. Double click on something. Do you feel that scarcity mindset is connected to the victim? Are they like paired?
Yeah, yeah. I think they're absolutely right. Like scarcity is also you're a victim of something that's scarce, right? So the whatever the thing that scares is, there's some authority there, there's some villain there in it. So absolutely. Yeah.
And the best way for us to, you may have said this already, but the best way for us to kind of like find these things out and to defeat it or to overcome it, or at least to confront it, would be, what would you say? You know, scarcity in relationships or something. Like, how do I?
Yeah, notice and then feel. All right. So notice when you're in scarcity, and there will be a contraction in your body. There will be tension in your body somewhere. You're holding your breath, you're holding tension, your body is showing it to you. And then you just relax that in your body, and opens you up. Like you don't have to, you just need to notice it, and then move your body or change the state of your body, and that's really all you need to do. And you do that repeatedly, and it just starts to dissolve, because it's just a false belief. The other thing you can do is like you can actually question the belief. Like, what is the thought behind this? There's not enough time. I have to hurry, or like whatever it is, if it's time scarcity, right? And then you can question that. Byron Katie is phenomenal. Like, is it true, right? Can I absolutely know that it's true that I'm in a hurry, or there's not enough time, or there's not like, and then you just question it.
So like what, how do you feel? I mean, so imagine when you got that notice that the money was wired, that you energy, feelings came into you. Like for me, I'm not nervous for you, but I'm just like, man, I'm happy. But at the same time, I feel like, okay, like, it's a difference of pressure. I feel like,
Yeah.
how do you handle that? Or what do you kind of, position your mindset in that regard?
You're talking about when I received the check, the money?
Yeah. Or even when you sign up for it,
Yeah. There's release, because there's like, there's the moment from I had, given verbal agreement to hire a bunch of people, till then I was like, okay, now let's go. Let's actually take the money, because I didn't want to take on money and start paying interest on it until I knew that I needed it. But now I'd all of a sudden, like in like 2 days, I'd said yes to hire 3 people, and then, or 4, I think. And then it was like, okay, now we better make the money happen. And so then I finalized that thing, and they're like, yeah, okay, we just need to do all this paperwork and that paperwork, and then we need to talk to the committee and approve you and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, right, maybe I should have sorted this thing out before and like figured out what all the steps really are to make this happen, and just taken like 10 grand or something just to kind of get the process moving. But anyway, here we are. So there's a little bit of nervousness there. And in those kinds of situations, I remind myself that whatever happens is always going to be good, right? Even if for whatever reason, they're like, oh, sorry, Calvin, we didn't realize that you're not a US citizen and you don't have a green card. We can't work with you then. I'm like, oh, bummer. That would have been good to know. But I know that it's going to be better. That if that was what had happened, that would have in the end been better. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like whatever we call adversity or problems or whatever it is it's always better. We just don't realize it yet because we're so stuck on how we think it should be rather than how it is. So over the weekend, I spoke with a guy named Matt Higgins. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He has a book out called burn the boats. I only heard about him recently. He was on the Gary Vaynerchuk podcast where he talked about his book. Came out on Valentine's Day, so a month and a day ago or something. And something moved me to look him up, and then I found that he was on this platform called Intro, where you can get a short, like 15-30 minute conversation with some person, and you pay. I think I paid like close to $500 for 15 minutes with Matt, but I was like, that's going to be worth it. So I talked to him, and it was really cool. He had some great ideas, and but I wanted to hear his input specifically because he's been funding Gary Vaynerchuk stuff, and he's an investor. So I wanted his take on the money and the funding situation specifically. And I told him about the terms, and he was like, dude, I would take that money all day long. And then he said, I think the thing that you really the pivot that you need to make is you need to realize that you're sitting on $100 million opportunity. And I don't think you've fully internalized that. And I think he's right. And so that was what I was opening up with here, like sitting on $100 million opportunity. That was Matt's words. And I've been sitting with that since, and I can see it, and I can totally see, right, how my scarcity mindset has been, and like my victim that I didn't recognize till January. And then that scarcity mindset around talent and money has kept me stuck at that level. That's not my level to play at. It reminds me of one of my favorite mentors is a guy named Richard Unger, who does hand analysis. He is phenomenal. There are others that use his system. Beth Davis, notably, Pamela Landers. Beth is fantastic. But one of the things he talks about is this feeling of, he talks about like the importance of playing on the right stage. Sometimes we can struggle because we're not playing at the right stage for us. And not stage as in like steps, but stage as in like theater stage or, that kind of thing. And so it's like, if what you're doing is not aligned, and who you are is not aligned with the stage that you're playing on, there's going to be a mismatch. And I think that's part of what's been going on here because of my limited mindset, limiting beliefs, scarcity mindset, victim, and all that stuff. So I'm very, yeah, Ken is saying, don't limit it to just 100 million. 100%, totally, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. 100 million is just a start, but it's a good milestone to get to. So yeah, I'm pumped about what's ahead and super excited about what we're building and how we're going to change the game. And I'm meeting, on Saturday, I'll be meeting a guy named Andrew Chen. He's a OG growth marketer. I know him. I've read some of his stuff. I've seen some of his talks. He's like hardcore, like really legit growth marketer. So I'm very excited to talk to him and see what he says about our situation and what we should be doing. So, Bryson, do you have anything else? Do you want to jump into some hot seats?
Sure. Well, we've got some people that had requested and replied to some of our emails. So I know Reiki, I know she's geared up.
Let's go.
Oh, we'll do a fast one. Well, one of the things that I have an issue with is actually getting my my education that I have created up and running. And I've been selling these courses that I've been doing now since 2010. I work in teaching auriculo, which is acupuncture in the ears, and you also treat with frequencies and colors. And I have done. I mean, this is the best way to get the education in Denmark, and actually we're going international as well. And I think I will get another. I think it will be different when I go international because I feel a big interest, but I would like to get the Danish one running, and I don't know what it is that is stopping. I can't hack it. I can't hack what it is that is going wrong for me to get enough students in my classroom.
Okay. How many is enough?
Well, enough would be around 7, 10, 12 every half year.
Okay. How many are you getting?
Well, we have 3 at the time taking the education. Before that, we had 6. I have been up on more, but before I used to go Copenhagen, Jutland at the same time, and now we're focused in Copenhagen.
Right. What would make someone take an education in this?
Well, this is an education in alternative medicine.
Mhm.
And so it would be somebody who wants to help other people, that has a need to help and aid other people, like being a nurse, being a reflexologist, being an acupuncture, being an auriculotherapist. They
Right.
all run the same.
My thinking is like there's so when I took a coach education way back in 2007, um, some people take those kinds of educations for themselves, and some people take them to use them with clients. If it's for people to use it with the clients, either it's someone who already has clients and they're thinking, oh, this could be an additional tool in the tool belt, and it would let them feel better, charge more, have more success. Like it has to have some benefit to them. Or it's like, oh, if I had this, I could get more clients because there's demand in the market for this. Is there already a demand for therapists who can do this? Or is that not really a thing?
Yes, I think there is. I think some people know about this. A lot of people know about a therapy called NADA,
Mhm.
which is a very simplified 5-point therapy way. I usually say it's a prêt-à-porter, and what we do is haute couture. So this is prêt-à-porter is made for everybody. It's Hennes and Mauritz. It's for everybody. And when you go to a therapist, you want somebody that looks at you and not just give you what everybody else gets. And this is what NADA is, this 5 points, and it's always the same place.
Got it.
But it's easy and many people use it. So
Is
people
that-
know.
Is that something you know, or is that a hypothesis?
No, this is how it is.
Meaning, what I mean is like that people don't want the simple thing; they want the haute couture version. Because like we know that prêt-à-porter sells a heck of a ton more than haute couture, right?
But
Like,
yes.
Um,
So yes, yes, I think we know that people want this. It's. I don't know if people know specifically about ear acupuncture.
right. What are you doing to
Well,
sell it right now, or to market it?
Market it. Well, I'm on Facebook. We have some sponsored links. We talk about treatments, education. I have it on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
How many leads are you getting per month?
This is where I'm really bad. I'm really not into all that. So I'm really trying, but I really don't like it. I can't say I really don't like it, but
no. But what I'm saying is like, so you need leads, right? People who say, "Hey, I'm interested," like email subscribers or something.
I get a lot of email subscribers.
And then, well, how many new are you getting per month?
I don't know. I can see that in Simplero because I'm using Simplero now. I used to use Mailchimp.
You need a path where people see an ad, and you probably will need to figure out how to run ads for this. People see an ad. The typical model for selling this, it's what really works is that you run an ad, you get people to watch a video. Typically, it can be like a short 10-minute VSL, they call it video sales letter, that talks about the opportunity. And then you get people to schedule a call to talk to someone about it. And that's where you close them, that's where you make the sale on that call. And then you enroll them. That's the model that works for anything that's high ticket. I'm assuming since it's an education, it's fairly high ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 50,000 Danish kroner. I don't know how much.
Yeah, that would be the model. So you just have to reverse engineer it so that you run ads and get people to watch a video about it, and then you get them on a call and you close them there. That's the model.
Okay. Is there anything I have to be aware of in this? Is there anything I can do? Because I think I've upscaled everything. I have all the stamps and letters and level improvements from government, all this jazz, and spend a lot of time in getting that. So yeah, but maybe I shouldn't focus on that anymore. Just focus on the selling.
100%. Right. If you want people to buy it, you got to focus on the selling of it. And that requires that you generate leads, and that's what the ads do. And then the video educates people on what it is and why they should care. And then they're not going to hit like just a sales page and order form and put in a 50,000 kroner like thing on their card. They're going to need to talk to someone and ask some questions, and you walk them through and why. And there's scripts for that. This is the exact kind of thing that we teach you in Simplero Academy, and that's the model. We have excellent training on all of the pieces of it. The thing to be aware of is that it takes a minute to dial in everything, in the ads and what the video should say. The sales call is actually the easy part. We can give you a script, and it's very simple to walk people through. What's tricky is getting the ads to work and getting the ad and the VSL right. It takes some experimentation. It's going to take, you're going to need someone who probably you're going to need some help with it, but it's totally something that you can do.
I get help with that, for example. Let's say, how do I get it? Is that with you, or is that with somebody specific? Because I think it's difficult. I think it's really difficult to find that person who can help you with the next.
Yeah, it's not. Simplero Academy can help with all of this stuff. That's exactly what we do there. So click that link, have a chat with Sammy, and can figure it out. Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. And it's really not that complicated. It's just there's a process, there's a system. It is a lot of like dialing it in and getting it right, but that it's totally doable. People are doing it every day, all day long. And once you dial it in, it just runs. You might need to we want to keep monitoring it, maybe tweaking it, etc. But like once you dial it in, like we did a training with Pampa Program in Academy a couple weeks ago, and we're doing another one. They're a great example of, they do this exact model. They run ads. They do a webinar that's like over an hour long. You don't need to do that. You can do the 10-minute VSL version. Works really well as well. People's attention span is short. But once you dial in that offer, you just need that one offer, and they're doing over $1 million per week now from that one offer, that one strategy. That's the power.
So I just to get my mind wrapped around this. So what you're saying is that you make an ad, and when you click on that ad, you go to a video that explains what is going on. What is this? Like, you have to have something saying, you want to help other people not suffer from blah,
and there are
blah,
formulas for that. Yeah.
And you have a video, and the video talks about this education and how it works. And then it leads you to contact and make an appointment.
To scheduling a call. And on Simplero side, one of the things that we're doing with this funding is we're building all of this into Simplero, and we already have that. We just released the scheduler and the funnel so that you can run all of this in Simplero and have all your tracking and all your stuff in one place for this exact funnel, for this exact reason. Because if you're doing high ticket, this is the model that works, period. All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to do this again next week. We'll do actually next week, we are going to have a guest, Alex Catoni. Look her up. She's really awesome. She is, her name is Alex, but she's a girl, and she has Copy Posse. She's amazing. It's going to be super fun. If we have time, we can definitely do a hot seat again next week. It was fun. I appreciate that. So let's see if we can make that happen. And I think that's it. I'll see you all next week.